A nursery rhyme says, all work and no play make Jack a dull boy. Yes, while we were still very much young then, we sing all of those rhymes without actually knowing the meaning. We just, at least me, I sang it as one of the things that our tutors have taught us as little children. But over the years, growing up, going to school, working, raising a family and all of that, I get to understand that rest and recreation is inevitable. It is one thing that every human needs to elongate their lives. If you must enjoy this life, this beautiful life that God has given to you and I, you need rest. For even God himself rested, showing the importance of rest. But bad as it may sound, a lot of people have lost their lives just because they have refused to rest. We have a lot of people who are workaholics. I used to be among them, but in recent times, I have taken more time to rest, and it had paid a whole lot. A lot of people go into work, chasing money and all the beautiful things of this life, forgetting the fact that it takes a man, it takes a woman who is healthy and alive and energetic to enjoy whatsoever they have labored for. And that is not going to be achievable without beautiful and intentional resting times. And that is what I am here to discuss with you, for you to reconsider whether you are a student, an employer of labor, a husband, a wife, a child, whatsoever walks of life you are in, you need rest and you also need recreation. So I want to start by defining what rest is. Simply, rest is a relief from work. It is a state of inactivity. It is a state of motion. It is a state of tranquility. If you don't want to die young or get any form of health issue, you need rest. And have you ever wondered why the government workers or the public servants will always go on leave? Some of them like a week, some 2 weeks, some a month, depending on their department and what such parastatal allows, the length of time, I mean to say, that is allowed for them to go for leave. But most of the time, it is self-employed individuals that will always find it so difficult to have a rest. And now the question is, why are you self-employed when you cannot take some time for yourself to rest? Some people even as far as get into business activities and all whatnot from Sunday to Sunday, 360 days in the 12 calendar months. And that is the reason any little sickness, it will just pull you down and you spend so much money that you would have probably channeled into other forms of business and refresh yourself just because you have refused to rest. And the beautiful thing about rest actually is that it is dependent upon individual. Whichever way and form you choose to take your rest is nobody's business. It is solely your business, especially if you are self-employed. It is only when you are a public servant or you work under some private institutions that they will determine the length of time you need to rest. It cannot be overemphasized. Rest, rest, rest. I don't know how many times I should say it. It gets you refreshed. It gets you rejuvenated. It gets you re-inspired. When you are at a state of rest, at that state of motion, at that state of tranquility, at that state of inactivity, your mind is renewed. You receive fresh revelations, inspirations, and openness, directions to so many aspects of life. Take some time to rest. It is very, very important for you and your health, including your children. Okay, that being said about rest, let's quickly go to recreation. So what is recreation? Recreation is those activities like play that stimulates, amuses, and diverts. Take note of those three most important words. There is an amusement, there is a diversion, and there is a stimulation. That is what every form or any form of recreation tend to do. Recreation is also synonymous to leisure. So when you are recreating, it's like you are having your leisure time. So you don't have to be uptight with your life. Your life needs to be oil your life so that it will bring about soundness in its operations. That is what recreation does. It diverts your attention from every form of anxiety, every form of trouble, every stress. When you are into any form of recreational activities, whether it be game of any sort, whether it's indoor or outdoor game, whatsoever it is that will divert your attention, those anxieties, you will not remember them. Maybe it is a particular skill that you enjoy doing, like playing the keyboard, like listening, like sewing. For me, that also helps me to divert. It diverts my attention. So when I want to get recreative or when I want to go into recreation, one of the ways I get recreated is to mount on my sewing machine. And honestly speaking, a lot of styles comes to my head immediately. And I do it with all joy. That is what recreation does. Now, this brings me to something that is very important. You know, I had worked in a school, an institution, where students hardly go for break. And I mean all day long, all week long, all term, and all of the years they spend in that school. So it got me thinking, and I was so worried about it because I've never seen such. I have never worked in an institution where recreational activities are not being allowed. Children don't participate in any of this. So I was actually thinking it's only in the secondary section where I am. I never knew that it also boils down to their lower primary up to kindergarten. So I raised the issue in one of the management and staff meetings, and I asked, why do students not allowed to do their break? Even though it's been written on the timetable there. And you know, the answer I received shocked me. Or will I say, the excuse I got, because I called that an excuse. And what was the reason? And the answer goes on, and I quote, we used to actually do break until the children started getting rough and getting injuries every now and then. So we decided to stop. Really? And I gave my suggestion. I said, if that is the case, I have also worked in some institutions where the management of such institutions puts every teacher in charge of their class. Much more, if you are a staff on duty, the work is on you. I said, why don't you allow the staff on duty to go outside in the compound, like 5 minutes into the break time? Then 5 minutes before the break ends. That will help the children to know that people are watching them. And they'll be careful. You cannot separate children from play, from being rough. But you can actually direct them. Your presence. And that is the reason why even in your homes, when your children play, you monitor them. Otherwise, children use sharp objects. They can use sharp objects. But when you constantly keep telling them, whenever you want to play, you use your toys, you use this, you do this, they know that every other one is injurious. And they will get used to it. But my suggestions were declined. And I want to ask, why would you send your child to a school where recreational activity doesn't happen, and you expect those children to perform excellently well? It wouldn't work. And of course, I noticed that. I get to observe that the whole of the work that the staff puts into educating these children, because everything is work, learn. The children keep having a relapse. You give them something, it is difficult for them to give it back to you, not to even talk more of refining it to give it back to you. And for me, teaching and learning has not taken place. Recreation is very important. I will not send my child to a school where their curriculum does not include recreational activities. And you don't do that to your child. And that is the reason I'm saying both rest and recreation is not just for adults alone, but also for the children. Just check out any child that is not being allowed to play. That child's performance is totally different from the one that is being allowed to play. And you know, I never knew about play being helpful. That's recreational activity being helpful to children until that assignment was given to me back in the days in one of our classes. And I was like, what? Ever since then, I realized the importance of recreation. So take some time to oil your life. Sleep. Take some rest. Recreate yourself. Don't be uptight. Get amused. Get diverted. Get stimulated. And by so doing, your life will be elongated. And you will look fresh. And that is the reason when people see you, they'll say, what cream are you using? What cream are you using? It is only very few people that will say, what do you eat? Or what do you do? It is simple. Rest when you're supposed to rest and get recreated when you are supposed to get recreated. And if you are an employer of labor, very important, and your staff work for you, you don't get them recreated. You don't allow them to rest. Check your production. It will just be bouncing down, back. And that is the reason you keep complaining about a particular thing every now and then. The problem is not your staff. The problem is you, because you have not allowed time for rest. Neither have you allowed time for recreation. So you can do that today. Include it in your modulus operandi. In your office, in your company, in your workspace. Give them time to rest. Let them take time to recreate. Get involved. And your life will be better. God bless you.